Hello guys, this is Dark Fox Sage 2 and we are back with our new fanfic, which is What If Lost Sakura Reached World of Titans and Met Levi Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfiction. Can't forget that day. That incident. That embarrassing incident. When I accidentally went with Shikamaru on a mission to Suna. Kankuro invited me to visit his residence for a break. I held my head in frustration. At that time, I walked past the Cage's bathroom. I didn't apologize, while I laughed at the sight behind me. I groaned. Who wouldn't laugh at the sight of Gaara standing strong with a bag over his hair to keep it from getting wet and a pink sponge? Ah, I was too drunk. I looked out the Hokage's office window, remembering that terrifying incident. It had happened a week ago. I would never go to Suna again, no, not again. I couldn't look Gaara in the face. I was already too lost in laughter and Kankuro suddenly pulled me out. I immediately sped towards Konoha. I didn't even wait for Shikamaru, who was apologizing for my behavior to the Cage. I sighed and looked at Konoha. It was a beautiful day. At least it had been a long time since pain destroyed Konoha. But now this place had been rebuilt. Actually, we were under threat of war by Orochimaru and the few remaining Akatsuki members. So what's the point of rebuilding Konoha if we would end up being attacked again? I couldn't help it, but I felt hopeless. But Naruto won't give up that easily. He'll protect people no matter what. I smiled. One day, I want to protect people too, I whispered. Yes. One day I will be someone who protects everyone. I collected the scrolls Tsunade-sama gave me and stored them in their containers. Hey, are you done? The Hokage's voice startled me and I reflexively jumped. Yes, Tsunade-sama. I held the box. He walked over to his desk and sat down. Since I don't have any work for you today, why don't you just go out and take a vacation today? My eyes lit up. Really? He grinned. Of course, then, find Shikamaru and tell him to come here, I need him for a mission. My eyebrow twitched. So this was the real reason he gave me a vacation, namely to pick up Ino's lazy teammate. Hi, Tsunade-sama. I quickly dashed off before she could tell me to join Shikamaru on the mission. The sun was shining brightly as I exited the Hokage Tower, making me squint. The citizens of Konoha were happy and completely oblivious to the impending Second Shinobi World War. Perhaps this was for the best, but then again, maybe I was the only one feeling nervous. Was it because I'd always been weak? I shook my head. No, I'm not weak. Not now. My shoes slid gently into the mud. Today was a great day for training. I was training to get stronger. Besides, I didn't have anything important to do today. Oi, Sakura-chan. I stopped and turned around to see my blonde friend running towards me. Naruto. Teryaku. He stopped and bent down to catch his breath. He gasped for breath, then looked up and stared at me with bright blue eyes. Sakura-chan. I have a mission to the Rain Village. And Sai said we need a medical ninja, so will you come? I sighed. No thank you, sorry. Today is my day off. So I want to use it to practice. He pouted. But, Sakura-chan, I don't want to invite Ino. I smiled. No one wanted to ask Ino out, is she bad? Ino can use her medical skills. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He walked with steady steps, but I could tell he was restless. How could he have so much energy? Do you know where Shikamaru is? I got a message for him from Tsunade-sama. Naruto looked thoughtful. Yeah, he's with Choji at Ichiraku's ramen shop, I just got there. Oh, I have to go. I waved at him as he sprinted towards the Hokage Tower. The boy had too much energy. I sped past Ino's flower shop. I bet she was dying right now from just getting off work. I grinned. I was glad I had the day off. The smell of ramen hit my nose. The ramen shop was right up ahead. I walked in quietly and approached Choji sitting in the middle of the shop. Choji had finished 6 bowls of ramen which were now empty. Jez. Excuse me, miss. Can I help you? The shop owner asked politely. Oh, I just wanted to meet this guy. I pointed at Shikamaru, who turned towards my voice. Okay, relax. Hey, what do you want, Sakura? Shikamaru said in a lazy tone. Tsunade-sama wants you to report to her office, she has a mission for you. I groaned. Wow, interesting, that woman will work me to death. Choji chuckled. Well then, since you're leaving, can I have some of your ramen? The lazy ninja sighed heavily. Ja, Choji. See you, Sakura. I watched her eat the remaining soup and was just about to turn around when a brown-haired girl that Naruto liked shouted. Wait, miss. Want to help our shop by buying some candy? He held out a small box full of lollipops towards me. Sure. I wasn't buying anything here, so I figured it would be okay. I handed him the money and put the box of candy in my ninja pouch. Thank you. Please visit again. I came out and found Shikamaru standing there impatiently. You're still here. I was surprised. He frowned. Aren't I going there too? No, I have the day off today. I want to train outside the gate. You know, in my private training arena. He groaned again and I chuckled. Tisk. That's not fair. You're the one who got in trouble at Sun. He stopped when I glared at him. I mean that place. Okay, I'll find you if the Hokage needs you. See you later. He walked away with his hands in his pockets. Shikamaru knows my secret training place, thanks to Ino. I sometimes take him there to help him hone his medical skills. The forest was peaceful and quiet as I walked away from the Konoha gates. Even the birds were silent. I walked down the small, muddy path I usually took. It was too quiet. I felt anxious. Why? I shouldn't be nervous. This was a familiar path. The quietness made the tapping of my shoes louder. The tall trees blocked the sunlight from hitting my body. I felt scared for some reason. I shivered. Could I really join this mission? Had I made the right decision? I moved my bag to my left side with some difficulty. After a long walk, I finally arrived at the training arena. I prepared several dummy dolls, each with kunai and shuriken attached to their faces. The one I made resembled Orochimaru, but it had a cracked face. Standing in the center, I took a deep breath and focused my chakra. I always warmed up my chakra before training. After a few moments of silence, I stood up. I punched the air a few times, then leapt high into the air and grabbed the doll. The air hit my face, and I could feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins. Yes, this was what I needed. Something to take my mind off the war and my fear of losing everything. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a red cloud pattern on a black cloth. I gasped for breath and fell to the ground in my daze. Who's there? I shouted, throwing a kunai. I stood still, terrified in the silence of the forest. I could hear the pounding of my heart filling my ears. Red clouds. Akatsuki. A kunai was thrown my way. I jumped, caught it just in time, and sent it flying back the way it came. An orange-masked man jumped behind the trees and landed smoothly a few feet away. You're a fast kunoichi. My heart was beating fast. This man with the swirling mask with only one eye hole was so familiar to me. I gasped. I know you. You're Toby. I've attacked him before, but I couldn't hit him. Even Naruto couldn't. Smart kunoichi, you remember me. In less than a second, I felt a hand tug and twist my arm. I gritted my teeth and fought back the excruciating pain. What's a girl doing here all alone? He whispered softly in my ear. I could see his Sharingan eyes rolling. I moved to step on his foot, but he disappeared, causing me to trip. Ho ho, you almost hit Toby. His voice, which had been threatening, turned childish. Bastard. I gathered chakra in my left fist. I'd attack him, and once I passed him I'd teleport far away. I couldn't hit him alone. Not when he had that annoying jutsu. If Naruto couldn't do it, then I didn't stand a chance. Does the cute girl want to hit Toby? He asked in a high-pitched tone while running in circles. Ha! I ran, jumped up, and landed a punch. He performed a technique with strange hand movements for 2 seconds. I felt fear wash over me. What was he going to do? Goodbye, sweet girl. A vortex appeared above me. Oh, is this the Sharingan? I felt my body being lifted upwards, my vision slowly blurring. My head was spinning. What was happening? What kind of technique did that bastard use? Was I going to die here? The last thing I saw was Toby looking up. I screamed until the ground beneath me shook. It was cold. My head ached. I felt like my body weighed a ton. Was I lying down? Or was I floating? I couldn't tell what I was feeling. But, maybe it didn't matter. Maybe I was dead. Dead by the hands of that annoying freak. A cold hand pressed something wet against my wide forehead. Someone was with me. I slowly opened my eyes and tried to look around. I was lying on the ground in a forest, and I realized it was dark. I gritted my teeth as I tried to get up. Calm down, you just fell. My vision adjusted to the darkness and I could make out a man's face. He was old, probably in his 40s. He wore glasses and had dark brown hair that fell past his shoulders. Thanks, I'm fine, I said, even though my head hurt like it had been hit with a hammer and I felt nauseous. I was terrified. He held me down, ignoring my protests. You fell from the sky from a height of 12 feet. Are you okay? You ran towards the Titan. I frowned in confusion. I fell. What exactly happened? And, a Titan. What was that? Before I could speak, he pulled out a suitcase and rummaged through its contents. It's dangerous to be out here without a weapon. In fact, you're not even allowed to be here. Only Corps surveyors can go outside the walls. What is he talking about? I'm really fine, sir. I can go home. I just had an accident with Toby. I gasped. Everything came flooding back at me. The fight, the foreign moves, that bastard did something. Toby? Asked the man. Yes, he's an Akatsuki member. He's very dangerous. He attacked me, but, I looked around the forest. He wasn't anywhere. And it was already nighttime. How long have I been here? I asked hurriedly. Why didn't he just kill me? I was unconscious and he had a good chance. 4 hours. You're lucky you weren't eaten. And don't worry about Toby, he's gone. You should be worrying about the Titans. I blinked. Eaten. What was this weirdo saying? Are you a cannibal? I squirmed under his touch. He said strange things I didn't understand. Titans, and being eaten. No, of course. I'm a doctor. Ha ha ha. I swear I'm not a Titan. Titan? What do you mean? Don't you know what kind of creature you call a Titan? He looked at me, a strange focus between his eyes. Was I wrong to ask that? What's your name? He asked softly. Sakura Haruno. I answered. Something seemed wrong here. Sakura, where are you from? I gulped. I hoped she wouldn't pressure me. Konoha, I'm a medical ninja. He looked away. So, you don't come from the walls. He was silent for a moment and I squirmed at the extremely awkward situation. I'm not sure where Konoha is, or the Akatsuki members. But I can heal you. So, you can find your way to the walls. You'd better be careful, they are very suspicious of outsiders. I don't want to go to that wall. What I want is to go back to Konoha. My friends are probably looking for me right now. So, I stopped talking as he handed me a syringe. Inside was a yellowish white liquid. I can heal myself. So, thank you for looking at me, sir. Without warning, he immediately injected the needle into my arm. I was too shocked to move away. So, I could only stand still. My green eyes widened as I stared at the empty syringe. I'm sorry, she shook her head as tears welled up in her eyes. I had to do it. I was angry. I jumped up and threw the needle that was stuck in my arm away. What kind of liquid is in that needle? I screamed. This was wrong, and everything was wrong. I grabbed her shoulders and shook her. She looked at me with confused eyes. Don't let them win. He held my arm that was over his shoulder affectionately. I was completely confused. Who was this man? You remind me of Aren. He let go of me and I stepped back. What did you do to me? I asked calmly. If he was an enemy, he might have given me poison. I changed you. He got up and brushed himself off. That's where the wall is. Be careful and stay in the open field. You don't want to go into the stairs that the Titans are targeting. They sleep at night. So, move quickly before morning comes. He adjusted his glasses and pointed to a small path through the undergrowth. Miss, I doubt they'll let you back into your village without branding you a traitor. I blinked in confusion. Have a safe journey, miss. He turned and walked away. Wait, who are you really? He stopped and turned towards me. I Dr. Jaeger. Nice to meet you, Sakura. With that he left. Wait, my voice echoed throughout the forest. I ran in the direction he had gone, but after a moment I gave up. He was gone. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Am I imagining it? I rubbed my aching arm where the needle had been inserted. No, this was real. That weirdo had inserted something into me. I shook my head. I was sick, and he said he wanted to fix me. Dr. Jaeger. Maybe it's just medicine. I laughed at my own silliness. Of course. Poor guy, imagining things, but he's a doctor. If that liquid were poison, I'd be feeling the effects by now. I smiled and turned around. She was a nice, bored medical ninja trying to spy on me. I kept walking. I realized that this forest was much larger than it had seemed during the day. The night scares you, Sakura, I said quietly. Maybe I was worrying Tsunade-sama. I had to get back to Konoha as soon as possible. I was lucky the medic nin found me. I stopped. She wasn't wearing a hitai-8. The wind was calm. For the first time, I paused to take in my surroundings. The trees were different. I crouched on the ground and picked up some dry leaves, crumpled them, and held them to my nose. This wasn't the smell of the Konoha forest I knew. I stood up and spun around. No, I was somewhere else. Kuso. I punched the nearest tree. That annoying lunatic Toby sent me somewhere else. That's why he said goodbye, damn it. I was in another forest that was probably far from Konoha. Could I be near a tea plantation? The air here was a little damp. Maybe this was the land of the Rain Village, not a tea plantation. I smiled. Walls. The Rain Village had giant walls, and maybe the old man meant that Konoha would think I was a traitor if I didn't return soon. After all, it would be suspicious if you left without saying anything to a different village. That's right, Naruto said he had a mission in the Rain Village with Sai. I shouted happily. I was saved. All I have to do is follow this small path. Cuckoo, my luck has returned. I whistled cheerfully. They sleep at night. So, hurry up. I frowned. That old man, what did he mean? I groaned. Even now I was too scared to even rest. I snorted. That scary old man was trying to scare me. But what he said was true. I had to hurry. I was in enemy territory now, and I was lost. But not for long, hopefully. I walked for about an hour. The trees here looked tall and old. The air smelled strongly of vegetation. I thought there were wild animals around here. Everywhere I looked, there were deer, rabbits, or even wolves. Too much wildlife to be normal. I sighed and rubbed my sleepy eyes. This forest probably didn't see many people. My feet suddenly pulled towards a damp slope. I smiled like an idiot. I ended up going on a mission with Naruto. What a surprise when he would show up and find me sitting pretty in a ramen shop in the rainy village. The village was just ahead. I gathered chakra in my legs and took off. The wind whipped against my face as I ran through the forest at top speed. The trees were a blur. Hey, I'm moving faster, Tsunade-sama would be proud of me. I stopped when I came to a clearing. This was the edge of the forest. Even with the moonlight, I could see a dark place a little further away. Maybe a village. I carefully scanned the ground behind me. Why was everything so empty? Something was definitely wrong. Dead. Everything. A mile of vegetation ahead, with no signs of a road or anything. I'd never been to the Rain Village, but it shouldn't have been this deserted. Calm down, Sakura. You're not in the village yet. I gathered my chakra and ran at full speed. The air was wet and harsh. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see something. A large shadow, shaped like a human, lying on the road. Or was it a mountain? I couldn't tell. I kept running, my breath ragged. This was a long way from where I had been lying. The old man should have warned me of the distance. I was getting closer to the village. What is this place? This wasn't a village. My heart was pounding from running. The cold air made my pink hair flutter gently, caressing my face like waves. This wasn't a village. I walked slowly. My steps felt like they were about to give out. I gaped at the sight behind me. It was a wall. A giant wall 50 feet high. It was circular. It probably enclosed a city within it, or several large, sprawling villages. I got closer and reached out, feeling its texture with my gloved hands. I leaned my shoulder. It smelled of herbs and iron. I walked around the wall and found a large gate. It was open. I was just about to step onto the redwood when I heard a voice. Beware, they are suspicious of outsiders. That doctor, did he come from inside these walls? What kind of village is this? It doesn't seem safe. How do I know I'm not in enemy territory? Tsunade-sama wouldn't believe me if I told her about this place. This isn't like most villages I've heard of. What if this is some secret village or base? There's only one way to find out. I pumped chakra into my legs and ran towards the wall. Luckily it was nighttime so it would be hard to see my form. But my red clothes and pink hair were too obvious. I had to be careful. I jumped until I reached the edge of the flat surface. Some equipment was visible around, and a few cannons. This wall was built to protect something. Frowning, I crawled like a spider in the other direction and glanced down. There were many houses and a large road and a large lake flowing ahead. There was not a single person in sight and it was very quiet. I tested it by resting on the wall surface. A medallion lay on the ground. I still observed it carefully. This wasn't the village I was used to. But I needed a place to sneak in. I could rent a room. All I had to do was take off my hit. I was about to slide down when a hand pressed against my head and grabbed my hair. The tip of the sword pressed against my neck. Go away and I will kill you. I trembled. I'm not looking for trouble, I said softly, pained. Realizing that the tip of the sword was still pressing against my skin. Maybe so, but I don't know for sure, he teased. I gritted my teeth. This idiot wanted to kill me. I looked at him. He was a blonde man, very handsome, and probably in his early 30s. How did you get here? He asked. His voice was low and even filled with confidence. I summoned a bird and flew here, I said sarcastically. Let me go. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just a lost medical ninja. He frowned. His blue eyes were cold and unreadable. Oops, maybe that was a bad response. A man told me to come here. Dr. Yeager. His eyes widened and he tightened his grip. I groaned in pain. I don't recognize your face. Where are you from? I tucked my hands into my pockets. This man was going to feel the kunai on his neck if he didn't let go of me. Konoha. I'm lost. I gripped the kunai. He kept staring at me. I smirked. You messed with the wrong ninja. He raised an eyebrow. His eyes sparkled with amusement. What was this idiot laughing about? I cast a spell and stepped back, standing a few steps away. Take this. I threw a kunai but he easily deflected it using his sword. Now that I was standing a good distance away from her, I got a good look at her body. She had a strange device on her other hip, and a wire connected to it controlled her sword. Kami-sama, she's hot. I shook my head violently. No Sakura. Not the time for that. I pushed her away and jumped high into the air to land a kick. She swung her sword but I grabbed it midair and spun around. She was shocked. Even though I had injured myself, at least I was able to break her sword. I didn't want to kill anyone, but there was no trust between us. I reached out with my bleeding hand and threw it away from the gate. What's wrong? This kunoichi is too strong for you. I don't know who you are, but your abilities. She still seemed shocked. I smiled widely. He pressed a button on the hilt of the broken sword, and it fell to the ground with a clatter. A moment later, he pressed the empty hilt of a box that resembled a tool and pushed in another sword. I watched with interest. What are those things? This technique is a bit weak, but it looks strange. Maybe those tools will do something big. If so, I have to destroy them. Who are you? He asked softly. His eyes were hard and accusing. I licked my lips. A girl, you fool. You'll regret facing me. I pumped a lot of green chakra into my fist. Shanaru. I pushed her. Her eyes widened and two wires suddenly appeared from the device. What? He was suddenly beside me, in midair. The wires were protecting him there, after all. I felt a blow to the back of my neck and my world went dark. I woke up in a dark room, tied to a bed. My hands were chained. I could only stare at the ceiling in silence. Hey, are you awake? I almost jumped when I heard a voice. I made the mistake of turning my head too quickly. Ow, who's there? I could see a figure in the other corner of the room. Sorry to startle you. A slender young man moved forward a little so I could get a better view. The man with dark brown hair and large green eyes was sitting near the bed, only he wasn't chained. No problem. Where are we? I asked. He looked around uncertainly. Underground, I think. He moved next to the bed. So, what are you doing here? I closed my eyes. I still vividly remembered the fight with the blonde man. Then, nothing. I was probably beaten and dragged here. People say you were attacked by Commander Irwin. I was starting to get emotional. So that's what it's called. Hold on. He was the one who attacked me first. I was only defending myself at the time. That's not the point. You're not from inside the walls. If you were an outsider, you'd probably be imprisoned here or even killed, he said quietly. I trembled. But I'm lost. And what are you doing here? He shook his head in despair. They said I turned into a titan. But I don't remember anything. He stared at his hands for a moment. Titan reminds me of an old man. But he never answered my question. What is a titan? I asked for a few seconds. The young man's eyes widened. You don't know about titans? I closed my eyes. No, I've never heard of them where I come from. What are they? No one knows for sure. We only have a few things to say about them. But they're giants that don't appear anywhere else. More than half the world's population was wiped out. I glanced at him. He couldn't be serious. Giants. Oh, come on, come on. If you haven't heard of them. What remote part of the world are you from? He asked suspiciously. I glared. Konoha. But, I really don't understand the world's population being wiped out. My village is too busy and we've never encountered a titan. He blinked in confusion. But you're from outside the walls, right? You were the last one seen there. I replayed my memory of the night I arrived here. The mountain. Was that one of the titans? The forest crawling with wildlife. Oh no. Where am I actually? I said quietly. There's no one I know here, and there's only one explanation. I'm not in another village. This is far from Konoha. I'm in another world. Toby must have used a technique that sent me to another world. Toby can transport parts of his body to other dimensions, and that's why our attacks passed through him. You were at Wall Sina. So you were kicked out of your village. I've never heard of Konoha. I thought we were the last ones left. No. I mean, I don't agree. I don't belong here. This is another world. I need to find a way back. I said, a little panicked. I didn't expect to be here. To your village. There's no way back. We're the last people living beyond these walls. Your village was probably destroyed by the Titans and you managed to escape. He gave a sad look. Sorry. No. He didn't understand. How could I make him understand without sounding crazy? But this world really was crazy. It was like a horror movie. A girl falling from the sky into another world was nothing compared to giant cannibals. I was about to explain when the door opened from the outside. The sound of footsteps filled the hall. I craned my neck to look, but only managed to see the heads of 3 people. I asked the young man for a clue as to what was happening. But he seemed as clueless as I was. His body was tense in anticipation. So you're awake. Don't you want to ask where the bathroom is now? A woman's voice rang out. I squirmed. Oh, looks like this girl is awake too. He laughed. How long will I be kept here? The young man asked. Not long. I came to gather you all for a few hours. Don't worry. The woman's voice sounded so positive and happy. It almost passed me by. Don't give her any more hope. I want to talk to the girl. A very soft male voice answered the woman. I wanted to ask him too, Levi. You'll get your chance. Hey, what's your name? He said to me. I turned to the boy who glanced at me. I'm Sakura. Sakura Haruno. Silence. Do you know why you're here? The man, Levi, asked. I shook my head. Of course I knew, but I was playing dumb. You attacked the commander of the scout troop infiltrating Walsina. His voice was very monotone. I didn't do it. I got lost and ended up here. A man told me about this place. So I came here and another man attacked me. I tried hard to control myself, but slowly I realized the situation was dire. This was a matter of life and death. This was serious. I was an enemy to the people here. If that's the case, where are you from? The boy beside me replied, leave him alone. He said he was from Konoha. His village was attacked by the Titans and he ran away. I looked at the young man in disbelief. Hey, we didn't ask you, Jaeger. A different voice responded. I was surprised. Jaeger, the old man in the woods. Dr. Jaeger, are they related? He lost his home to the Titans. The young man shouted angrily. Do you all care about looking after us who are locked here? He shook his head in resignation. Really? Levi asked coldly. The Jaeger youth turned his head to the side, signaling for me to agree. Yes, I'm just a survivor. My voice sounded sad, not because it was true, but because I couldn't believe this was all happening to me. My life had changed in a day. I understand. I will see you in the palace. Your fate will be determined by the law, and so will you. The young man trembled but frowned. You said you wanted to be in the scout troop. That will be decided in the palace. Whether you are an enemy or an ally to the humans. I will see to it that you get in. The man left. The woman in front of us whistled. Don't worry, Eren. I'm sure you'll be fine. Eren. The man's words rang in my ears. You remind me of Eren. This was his son. I heard the soles of his shoes hit the floor. Wait. He stopped. What's wrong? I swallowed. What will happen to me in the palace? She sighed. I'm not sure, because Erwin is the one who decides. He's the one you attacked. So he has the final say whether we kill you or not. He left after saying that. I waited until the door closed to speak. Thank you. You stood up for me, I said. Eren snorted. I'm not sure what I'm saying if it's true. But you don't seem like a bad person like me. I gave him a fake smile. Half true. So your name is Eren? He nodded. Maybe I shouldn't have told him about the old man in the forest. I had a feeling it would be a drama if I did. I just hope things work out and can support us. He slumped down on his bed. You're really brave to stand up to Erwin, you know. I smiled broadly. He must be someone important. But I don't need to know about it. Don't worry. Besides, your problems are bigger than mine, right? She bit her lower lip. I don't know how I turned into killing Titans. I guess I'll get the details in the palace. What happened? I asked curiously. You turned into a Titan. He nodded. That's what I said. I killed the other Titans that appeared on Wall Rose and tears rolled down his cheeks. Everyone was devoured. I couldn't do anything. His shoulders shook, and I worried for him. Poor boy. It was like watching myself as a teenager, crying over being the useless person after Sasuke and Naruto. Always protected, always the weakling. You don't remember anything after that? I asked empathetically. No. I sighed. Don't worry, Eren. Everything will be better. My eyes felt heavy, and before I knew it, Eren was sobbing beneath me as I fell asleep. Bang. A loud noise brought me to my senses. My pathetic body was tied down. I felt hands untie me and I groaned in pain. Calm down, it's time for your checkup, a woman with brown hair tied in a ponytail and glasses said soothingly. I'm Hanji. She helped me up and led me out of the cell. Oren stood after a man with black hair and almond eyes. He was incredibly beautiful for a man. Hurry up, they're waiting, he said lazily. He wasn't happy about having to pick us up, and I instantly remembered his voice as Levi. Oren and I were ushered through a door and suddenly we were illuminated by a light. Someone appeared behind us and ordered us to put our hands behind our backs. Go ahead, Levi ordered when we were worried. We were handcuffed and sat behind a long white pole in the center of the room where we were chained. I looked around. There were various people sitting around us and an old bearded man in front of a large, tall table. Several people to Oren's left were wearing the same brown uniforms as Levi and Hanji. I bit my lip nervously and suddenly trembled in fear when I saw the blond man I had attacked standing far in the corner of the room. His blue eyes drilled into me and I clenched my fists. I turned to Ren who was beside me. He was looking at two people with shocked eyes. A woman with dark black hair, and a young man with shoulder-length blonde hair. They seemed to be his friends. Oren Jaeger, Sakura Haruno. You stand behind the sacred palace of Sina, will you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? We both suddenly got nervous and glanced at the people around us who were whispering amongst themselves. Yes. Oren's voice came out shaky and uncertain. Why yes. Kami-sama, my voice came out even worse. Oren, the crime of going against humanity is a big one. Being part of the Titans and appearing on Wall Rose. It's your loyalty that's being questioned now. Oren shifted so our knees touched. An act to reassure himself that he wasn't alone. Armin Arlert, will you stand as a witness on Wall Rose on behalf of Oren? The bearded man asked in a booming voice. Why yeah, I was there when Oren ripped the Titan's neck off. But he wasn't interested in eating humans, he attacked and killed the nearest Titans, until they ate him. Oren glanced at the young man in surprise. That's too much. Titans attacking Titans. Don't tell me you believe that big lie. The man to my right shouted dramatically. Calm down. Thank you Armin. The young man aka Armin lowered his head. Mikasa Ackerman, it's true that while Oren was in his Titan state, he attacked you. The black-haired woman turned sharply to the woman beside her with a threatening glint. After they exchanged words, Mikasa turned to the judge. Yes, Oren attacked me. But it was just a small wound. Armin got it and Oren managed to move a large rock to block the entrance to Wall Rose. He saved us. Oren was shocked. Mikasa, he whispered. I felt like I was watching a soap opera. No, it's clear this girl feels enveloped by her closeness to the Titan. Mikasa Ackerman, you lost your family and Jaeger raised you, right? It's only natural that she wants to try to defend him. Chaos interrupted. Mikasa glared at the person who insulted her with words. This is truly a soap opera drama. And I am a little lucky to be the audience here. Enough. This is a very unique matter. Oren has Titan abilities and it seems he can't control them. Forget it. Just kill him. I frowned just like the man who threw the words Mikasa threw at Oren. Oren Jaeger, tell us right now. Are you a human or a Titan? Oren was breathing hard, his eyes wild and wide. Oren, I whispered. Human, he shouted. Silence fell over the room until the argument resumed. Kill him, he can't be trusted. Only God has the power to protect us from the Titans. That annoying man again. Let me guess. He's the priest. I turned to Erwin amidst the sounds of mad explosions. He never took his eyes off my presence. Had he been secretly thinking about whether I should live or not? I sentence Oren Jaeger to death. My thoughts vanished as quickly as I heard the phrase. The uniformed man next to me had said it. Several others agreed one by one. Oh no. Oren's face paled, along with Mikasa and Armin's. Stop this. I closed my eyes. Please. Stop. No. What are you afraid of? We're always losing titans and I can be the savior. I can help retake Wall Maria. I can protect you from them. Stop being cowards. Stop hiding behind these walls like pathetic worms. Stop being afraid and risk everything you have for me. The room was silent. I was surprised by Ren's outburst. He was panting now. Even as a foot connected with his face, he struggled to hold on to the power in his eyes. Levi stood above us, pressing his foot down on Ren's face. Idiot, shouting when it's not your turn to speak. You need to be controlled like a dog. He kicked Ren's face a little hard. I stared at him in horror, and felt Ren's slender body pressing against mine. Stop, I shouted. Mikasa was held back by Armin as she tried to jump over. Eren gritted his teeth. Hey, Levi, stop hitting him. He'll get angry and turn into a titan. The priest said nervously. Levi frowned. Grabbing Eren's hair, he pulled him up and pressed his hands against Eren's bleeding face. If he does, I'll kill him. It'll be so easy, he's nothing special. The priest grumbled angrily. You police and holy followers are weak. Your power is weak, you can't keep this dog under control. Only the investigative unit can handle it. The judge nodded. It is decided, I will leave Eren Yeager in your care. I trust you will make him useful to humanity. Levi knocked Eren down and kicked him aside, but I blocked it with my body. The blow hurt, and I let out a cry. He's going to pay. I glared at him. Levi didn't even back down, his bored expression just like Sasuke's. Ah, right, Sakura Haruno. Your matter was just about to be discussed. He grabbed my hair and lifted me up. I really wanted to throw him at the Titans when I was free and met them later. Really? You infiltrated Wall Sina and tried to kill Erwin, right? His breath fanned my face, but I continued to glare at him. His face looked like a perfect hole punch now. Levi. Erwin's voice echoed across the room. Levi dropped me and stood aside. For goodness sake, he's a cursed creature I must skin. What's the story? The judge asked Erwin. I testify on behalf of Sakura. She's not a real person from inside the walls. I found her on the wall and I tried to gather information from her. I was too cruel, she had no choice but to defend herself and fight me. My heart stopped beating. I couldn't believe it. Erwin made me look like a victim. He lost his home to the Titans. He came here to seek refuge. Eren screamed through the pain. Don't make me laugh. And the priest began, but trembled in fear as Levi's sharp gaze was directed at him. A village outside the walls, I didn't know there was such a thing, the judge monologued. This is it. I have to lie. My family was murdered. I ran away and I'm just a survivor. I came here to seek help. I almost sobbed. Good job, Kami-sama. Ino would be proud of me. He's an outsider. How do we know he's not a disgusting titan? Someone shouted. A voice filled with even more anger. I've been called all sorts of things. Spy, titan, assassin. I even heard someone shout that I attacked Erwin on someone's orders. And now I'm the one who's being cast in a soap opera. Ridiculous. Levi pressed his foot on my head. If that's true, I'll kill him without mercy. He'll be treated like a dog, too. My eyebrow twitched. The judge coughed. Very good, Erwin, you don't want to indict him. I looked at the blonde man pleadingly. He was looking at me, but without emotion. He was unreadable. No, the research union will take him. He will be under Levi's supervision. I screamed in my head. I was going to be guided by this bastard who stepped on my head. I wanted to scream at them to just kill me. Eren slipped his hand into mine. His eyes told me not to say anything. If he's a spy, I'll hold him. A trash as weak as the two of them is a threat. Levi said, looking at Erwin. Something happened between them. Things are stopped. Eren and I were released and led by Hanji out the lower door. Despite my rough treatment, the palace ended up supporting me after all. Erwin was beaten. I made a mental note to treat him when we were alone again. Looking back at the room full of people, I caught a glimpse of Levi and Erwin talking. Levi frowned while Erwin was lost in thought, They were arguing about something, but it ended when Erwin looked very tired. He had a higher rank. I looked down at my feet. Hanji led us to a different room far from the cell. The outcome of my case was planned. I was going to be sentenced to death, and Erwin and Levi knew it. Erwin had planned it. So why did he change his mind? I had been incredibly lucky during the trial, but only because of that blonde man. Even after I was ambushed over the wall that night, he chose to save me. I squeezed my eyes shut as the three of us left the dormitory cell. It didn't matter why. I was still alive. TBC. Thanks for all readers, especially Rizka Scorpio Girl, Hani Yuya, Nakamura 1 Mu, Qioi, Sakura Leonhardt, Akinajung, Sukes no Uchiha, Kellen the Black Swan, KHR, who gave me reviews, favorite, and follow this story. 3. And sorry to some readers, who may be in the Naruto fandom, who happen to read this FF, who are still waiting for some ongoing FFs. After the announcement of the grades, my mental state immediately dropped when I found out this semester's GPA was really, "Aw, never mind, it's too sad to remember L. Is there anyone in the same situation? Ho, forget it. As Aren and I followed Hanji into the windowless room, her demeanor changed. As quickly as the door closed behind us, she stopped walking and stood in the middle of the room with her back to us. Aren and I briefly exchanged questions. Hanji. I spoke. Her entire body shook. I started to think she was going to collapse and cry. She didn't. Meanwhile, she spun around and grabbed my shoulders. Her eyes were wild, and she searched my head as if an alien who had been living there for a long time would suddenly appear. Hanji. I asked again, very confused. I've been wanting to ask you this since Levi brought you here. Your hair, is it natural? He shouted as he held my curls between his fingers. I didn't express anything. What's wrong with this woman? Yes, I was born this way. He gasped. No way. This is really cool. While he was busy being amazed by my hair color, Aren walked in front of the room and caught a glimpse of the two beds in each corner. Is this where we'll be guarded? He asked. Hanji looked at him. Yeah, from now on you and Sakura will be sleeping underground as part of the palace agreement. They still don't fully trust you. And you might get into trouble if you turn into titans above ground. He walked to the left side. Your things are on the bed, Aren. That's where you'll sleep. He turned to me. The results of the search of your pockets were completely unexpected. So your things are in the investigative unit building for examination. You can get them later. I immediately looked down at my body. My ninja pouch and Hittite were gone. I'd been caught in a state where I hadn't even realized my belongings were missing. I grumbled. Okay. I whispered. Don't look so gloomy, Sakura. Your bed is over there. He pointed to the other bed. I sighed and nodded. Can I see my friends? Aren asked Hanji. Not now. You're in the research unit. Your friends will join you if you don't want to be separated. Aren nodded disappointedly. Since you two already know your rooms, follow me. He opened the door and walked out. Geez, isn't he going to ask if I'm comfortable sharing a room with a guy? I thought as we followed his pace. The sky was bright as we exited. Compared to the lamplit underground, the outside world was annoyingly making my eyes squint. It was beautiful here. The buildings here were uniquely styled, unlike those in Konoha. Hey, look, it's the Titan Shifter and the exotic-haired girl. Hanji shouted. 4 people walked over to us and gathered around me. 3 boys and a girl looked at me in awe. So this is the girl who broke Erwin's sword with her own hands, a girl said. She had orange-tinged brown hair and large brown eyes. She was beautiful. She's really small. I doubt she's just an ordinary girl. This time a man spoke. I'm Petra. This is Mike. She pointed at the blonde man. Mike came closer to me and bent down. He pressed his nose against my neck. He snorted. What are you doing? I shouted. He stiffened but continued to grunt, then back away and smile. I blushed. Don't mind him. He has a habit of smelling everyone the first time he meets them. Mike nodded and then smiled, but the meaning was unclear. An old man with gray hair appeared behind Petra and spoke. I stared at him in silence. Oh, okay, I mumbled. Mike moved to snort at Aren. What a weird guy, I thought. I'm Oluo Basard. I'm the one who killed the most titans in the squad. He shook my hand and made an arrogant statement. I'm El Jin, nice to meet you. Another man with blonde hair introduced himself carefully. I'm Gunther Schultz, a dark-haired man said with a slight bow. I didn't know whether to bow or not, so I just gave him a curt nod. So, your village was attacked by titans? Oluo asked, trying to act like he didn't care about my answer. Yes, and I found this place, I said carefully. I had to think before I spoke. If I said too much, I'd make fun of them with my story. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry for that. I'm sure working under Levi makes you wish you were eaten. He crouched down in pain as Petra elbowed him. Shut up. Levi isn't that tough. Working with him is an honor. She stared. She was pinning him down. It was obvious now, but I wasn't going to ask him bluntly why people were attracted to Sasuke's clones. My gut clenched. I still liked him, no matter how much I hated to admit it. Even after he left Konoha, my mind was suddenly filled with thoughts of him. Sakura. Hanji's voice brought me back to my thoughts. Hurry up. I looked at her. She was with Aren, who was waiting for me at the shop on the far side of the building. Okay, I shouted. Turning to the crowd, I bowed sweetly. Nice to meet you, I said with a smile. I turned to Hanji and ran over to them. Since your arrival was unexpected, Sakura, Erwin is still discussing what you should do. So for the time being you just have to do Levi's bidding. You too, Aren. You might be in the investigative unit now, but you're still under Levi's control. He smiled and took a few steps back. Good. I'll be Sasuke's clone slave until they figure out what to do with me. I felt a knot in my stomach. I didn't want to be here. This wasn't my place. I missed Konoha. The window above us opened suddenly and we all turned to see a man sticking his head out. Forget the snorting man, Levi was just as strange. He had a cleaning cloth over his head and another cloth covering half of his face. You too, come in. I have a job for you, he muttered through the white cloth that was pressed against his teeth. Even though he looked like that, he still looked cool with his monotone expression. I had to try hard not to laugh. Hanji slapped both of us on the back. Have fun. He turned back to the strange group. Eren and I gulped and made our way into the building. Pathetic. You're dirty, he said to me. I frowned in surprise. Seriously. I'm dirty. They're locking me in a dirty cell for forever. Clean yourself up when you're done, she said, slapping her hands on the apron. Yes, that's right, an apron. He gave Eren a broom and a bucket and a sponge to me. Eren, you go to the front yard and sweep the leaves on the street. Sakura, you mop the floor here. Eren mumbled an okay and turned to me. I guess I'll see you again later, he said. Are we friends now? Come on, I thought sadly. I don't want to be here with just a Sasuke clone. You can start anytime, Levi said in a bored tone. I gave him a cold glare. I won't forgive you for what you did to me. I whispered angrily. You went too far. I blinked innocently, like he couldn't believe I would accuse an angel like him of such nonsense. I can't help but care what you think. You can't achieve anything without sacrifice, remember that. He walked over to a wooden table and wiped it clean. My tongue was numb. I didn't like this bastard one bit. I could kill him right here and now, just kick him and send him flying out the wall. But I couldn't even do that. I was still confused by my situation. I was still beginning to grasp the fact that I had been pulled into another world. I couldn't be hostile. Until I found my way back, I would humble myself and do as I was told. This was a world with foreign and dangerous rules. I bent down and grabbed the sponge. Pulling it out and pressing it against the floor, I messed up how I hated every minute of this. I wasn't a maid. I was a medical ninja. I wanted to curl up in a ball and cry in the corner. I mopped roughly with each passing minute. Levi had finished his work, so he sat down on a chair far away from me and remained completely silent. I could feel his eyes boring into my back. The idiot was probably sitting there happily, thinking about how slow I was. My knees were starting to hurt from fighting against the floor. I stood up and stretched. My shoes were too low to offer any protection. I still felt like I was being stared at. Disgusted, I turned around and looked him straight in the eye. What? I asked quickly. He frowned. Is your hair natural? I groaned. I wanted to go through this until I left this place. Isn't there anyone else with pink hair here? I asked, taking a seat across from her. I hadn't finished my assignment yet, but I really needed a break. No, he said quite frankly. I pouted. It's natural, I said, my stomach growling. Damn it, why is my stomach making noises at a time like this? I feel like burying my head in the ground like an ostrich. How embarrassing. Why don't you hurry up and finish your homework so you can eat? I want to rest, I answered bluntly. His gaze was as sharp as a dagger. I swallowed. Okay, I said. A real man would clean up for me and take me out for a meal. I thought gloomily. Oh yeah, this guy isn't what you'd call a real man. I'd have a better chance of forcing a smile. I mopped up my face in frustration. I hadn't eaten anything since I'd been here. I hoped I'd be offered a bowl of ramen when one went looking for Shikamaru after all. I gasped. Shikamaru. He knew I'd be training outside the Konoha gates. He'd definitely report me missing and tell Tsunade-sama where I was. Oh no, I whimpered. There was no hope. My life was in the hands of that lazy bastard. There's a problem. Levi's voice brought me back to reality. No, I muttered. He was the most utterly boring person on earth. TCH, Sasuke clone. I mopped silently. I mopped the floor when I was finally done. My hands were wet and cold. I should have worn gloves. Levi escorted me out after taking his stupid clothes and folding them neatly. This clean freak was going to work me to death. Eren was waiting for me outside and approached us. I'm done, can we go now? She asked Levi. Of course not, I'm stuck with you too, I thought you were hungry. Lunch will be ready in the main room, follow me, Levi ordered. We followed him in silence. Are you okay? I asked Eren. He looked very worried. Huh, I just really want to see my friends. I thought for a moment. Mikasa and Armin, I don't feel good being apart from them. I know how you feel, I want to see my friends too. I whispered. You never know what you have until you lose it. Your wounds heal so fast, I commented. His face was clean and unbruised. Yeah, my arm's back too. He stared intently at his left arm. Back. What happened? I asked curiously. One of the titans bit me, but my arm's back. Maybe it's one of the titan abilities. I really didn't understand, but I was too tired to press him any further. Levi opened the door and stepped inside. We followed. The smell of food hit my nose and my mouth watered. The room was warm and comfortable, separate from the outside. Sitting here and eating home-cooked food was almost like being at home. The same group of people I'd met moments before were also present. Keeping a distance from Mike, Hanji sat across from him at the head of the table. Eren, Sakura, nice to see you again. Hanji called out. Levi took the chair across from Petra and Oluo. Eren and I took our places beside him, Levi on my left and Eren on my right. Let's eat. Hanji screamed with joy. She was always so energetic. I put the white bread that was now standing on my plate. I savored every morsel in my soup. I was really hungry. Everyone else was either eating slowly or keeping their eyes on me and Eren. So you were on Wall Maria when the colossal titan first appeared? Hanji asked in a low, serious voice. Eren stiffened and nodded. So how big is this titan? Is it really 60 meters tall? Petra asked nervously, her eyes wide. I nearly choked on my food. 60 meters. This titan was big enough to see through the walls, he destroyed them, and more than half the population was eaten. Eren's voice was filled with anger. I stared at him in silence. You've never seen it. You've never seen how they eat people. Oren's words were directed at me. I shivered in fear. Enough. Eat, so we can clean up. Levi ordered. Everyone groaned. This guy was only thinking about cleaning, even when he was eating. He took his sweet time lifting the spoon carefully and slowly sliding it into his mouth. The slightest spill would kill him. We don't know anything about Titans, so how can we hope to win? Oren muttered. That's not true. I've completed countless experiments with Titans. I know many, many things. Hanji exclaimed proudly. My head snapped up. Oren gasped. Really? Tell me. We both shouted at the same time. We looked at each other. Hanji's mouth dropped open. Her eyes widened. Why you want to know about my experiments? We nodded happily. Ever since I've been here, I've been tormented by curiosity about this creature that supposedly ate over half the world's population. No, you definitely don't want to know. Oluo shouted drastically. But I really want to. I whispered. Levi's eyebrow twitched and he stood up. The others did the same and followed the Sasuke clone out. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm so glad you're interested in my experiment. He laughed. We waited impatiently. So I've captured 2 titans. One is 7 meters tall and the other is smaller. First we keep them together and tie them up so they can't try to eat us. It works. I figured they'd be quiet when tied up, even looking at humans. I tried talking to each of them separately. I asked about the weather, and if they could understand what I was saying, but neither responded. This led me to conclude that they have no intelligence and don't understand human language. She shook her head with tears in her eyes. To grow attached to them, I named them Sunny and Bean. I slept with them every day. Of course, I wanted to know if they had any weaknesses besides the back of their necks. So I had to stab them, hurt them. Oh, Sunny. Bean. This hurts me more than anything. She sobbed dramatically. Oren and I exchanged glances. We didn't find any others. They heal in seconds, so it's impossible to dissect them properly. When I cut off Sonny's arm, I held it. It weighed no more than air. It wouldn't have felt like it because his arm was so big. So this leads me to believe that maybe the Titans were just projections we were seeing. They were controlled by a more powerful physical phenomenon. They don't have digestive organs, so they don't eat to live, they just eat to eat. They ignore animals, they're only interested in humans. They also seem to have no reproductive organs, so how they reproduce is still a mystery, and their body temperature is incredibly hot. This smoke rises when they regenerate, and lastly, I want to know why the Titans are so busy just wandering around at night. We covered the 2 Titans with blankets, blocking them from the sunlight. Sonny became weak, as if he were sleeping. Except for Bean, he didn't sleep, he almost bit my head off. Ha ha ha, if I had a nickel every time I would have almost been eaten by my own experimental Titan. This woman was crazy. She was pounding on the table as she laughed. Did she have no sense of security for herself? The research union is a bunch of weirdos. Oren whispered. I nodded in agreement. So that means the Titans have different heights? I asked. Hanji smiled. Sure. We might not know their origins. But I'm finding out a few things about Sonny and Bean little by little. Oren looked at her in confusion. Hanji, how can you be so close to them? Aren't you afraid they might escape and eat you? Oren's question was a natural one. I also thought it was impossible to be attracted to such creatures. Hanji's face turned serious. Yes, I saw my close friends eaten before I could blink. I almost died outside the walls myself. Oren slammed his fist on the table. He was angry. And then, Hanji smiled. Oren, right now humans know nothing but fear. They fear the Titans, and they have too. But this is it. That same fear is preventing us from moving forward. From this victory fighting them, if you look at them from a different angle, you can see things you can't from the fear and anger of our perspective. Oren fell silent. He relaxed his hands. Hanji was right. But where did they come from? I asked. This world, torn apart by these creatures. It was the strangest thing. It was like a zombie movie, only really big. I was curious about everything in this world. No one knows. They suddenly appeared after the American War, Hanji said cautiously. Her eyes glazed over as she considered the possible theories. We were silent for a moment, thinking about what we'd heard. These titans were invincible except for the back of their necks, according to Hanji. So the only way to kill them is to attack the back of their neck? I asked. He nodded. You have to cut the spine, to prevent them from regenerating. That's what our job as a reconnaissance unit is for, to observe outside the walls and gather information on the titans. He took a slice of bread. Have you found all of that? Oren asked after a while. Yeah, unfortunately, but I have more information. Want to hear it? Oren and I nodded. Yes. We almost shouted. This is a bit long and you guys are probably ready to hear it, but. And that's all I know about titans. Hanji exclaimed enthusiastically. Oren and I had our zombie faces on. It was morning. Hanji would be continuing her theory all night. A foreign theory. A theory that no child should hear. Stop. This. I whispered. Ugh. Oren groaned weakly. They should have warned us. The door slammed open. Hanji. Titan. Someone killed the captive titan. A man shouted hysterically. Hanji gasped. We ran outside, following Hanji and the man to a hidden part of the building. The gates opened and we walked at a brisk pace, the sun shining brightly. The place was already filled with people in uniform, so Oren and I had to push each other to get to the front. It was a huge commotion. Oren and I froze at the sight. It was a dramatic scene. Hanji dropped to her knees, staring at the giant skeleton before she let out a cry of despair. No. Sani. Bean. Who did this? She wailed. Her cries could be heard a mile away. People were talking amongst themselves. Hanji is furious. Who could do this? Whispers flew around like gossip. Chaos. Hanji's wailing only grew louder. I couldn't understand. But that didn't stop me from feeling sad. What the hell? Oren muttered beside me. A shadow loomed between us. Two hands gripped Oren's shoulders. I backed away as Erwin leaned in to whisper. Look around you. Who do you think the enemy is here? Oren's eyes looked confused. With a glance at me, he stood up and walked to my left side. I trust my intuition. I just hope you don't disappoint me. His legs were longer than mine, so I had to crane my neck to see his face. He was unreadable, just like back then, impossible to tell if he was angry or bored with me for attacking him. What do you mean? Oren whispered. Erwin didn't respond. He looked at Hanji who was crying. Who could kill Hanji's experiment? I looked around. Everyone looked shocked and innocent. But Erwin said someone here did it. For some reason, someone wanted Hanji's experiment stopped. But why? The three of us stood watching as Hanji cursed whoever had killed her precious thing. Someone among these people was an enemy. I frowned. There was more to this world than I thought. It wasn't just the titans that were the problem, something bigger awaited beyond us. Erwin was kind enough to escort me to the Survey Corps building while I asked about my belongings. Oren stayed behind with a distraught Hanji. While I felt bad for him, I needed my things as soon as possible. I had kunai and other random items in my pockets. Why did you save me? I asked after walking into the building in silence. I felt so small next to him. I have a feeling you're going to be a great asset to us. My eyebrows raised. Oh, how is that possible? She glanced at me quickly before turning to the door. Your fighting skills are incredible. Not many women can break a sword with their bare hands. He said in a low voice. I couldn't help but grin proudly. Hey, finally someone recognizes talent when they see it, I monologued. He saved me because of my powers. It almost seemed selfish, but given the crazy world we live in, it's natural to want as much help as possible. Thank you. I was trained by Hoka, the leader of my village. He is very strong. He nodded. The room we entered was very bright in contrast to the rest of the dungeon. I saw my things lying on a white table in the middle. I picked them up. My pockets were open and I could tell someone had rummaged through them. Everything was scattered, including a few small scrolls. I picked up my square pouch with the shuriken inside and my headband. I hid them in my pocket. I wasn't in Konoha. I didn't wear them here. A pang of guilt hit me, but I pushed it away. I've already spoken to the council at the court. I've made arrangements for you. Erwin said casually as he led me out the door. I convinced them to let you join the investigative unit. You'll be specially trained by Corporal Levi. I thought you didn't know how to use the 3 German marks. No, I replied. Oh no, I'm being recruited. This wasn't part of my plan. I was supposed to come up with a way to return to my world as soon as possible and exterminate it, not get involved with these people's affairs. What is this? I asked. Still, I couldn't refuse. I closed my eyes and clenched my fists. This is only temporary. I'll return to Konoha, and I won't get too attached to anyone here, I thought aloud. It's a promise. Levi will show you, but before that, take a shower and get some rest. I nodded and thanked him as he led me to the room Hanji had shown me and Aren yesterday. It doesn't matter if I clean or join this military. I'll be around Sasuke clone no matter what, I thought bitterly. So, Levi is a corporal, what exactly is that? I asked Erwin before he turned to leave. He's the captain of the investigation squad. My eyebrows raised. So Sasuke's clone is someone important too. But I thought you were a captain. I said a little confused. Commander, I'm moving throughout the unit. Levi is leading the squad, he commented. I nodded. Yes, I understand, excuse me, I said as I entered the room and closed the door behind me. Thanks to the light in the center of the room, I had no problem making it to the edge of my bed. I opened the nearest drawer and placed my bag inside. I flopped down on my new bed with my arms above my head. Maybe it wouldn't be bad to help these people for a while. As long as I didn't use my powers or run too fast. Obviously, no one was a ninja. The people in this world were just regular people. I wasn't even sure if they had chakra. I sighed and turned to the side. I'd ask some questions if I started jumping up and down at alarming heights and smashing rocks. I'd have to pretend I was normal until I found my way home. I smiled and got up. The bathroom was next to the room, and I entered. It was small but comfortable to be in. I turned on the water and set it to hot, then closed the door behind me. I took off and folded my clothes neatly, setting them on the sink. I grimaced when I caught my reflection in the mirror. My hair was sticking up wildly and there was a bit of mud visible on my body. I sighed. It was almost embarrassing, cleaning up in front of Sasuke number 2 looking like this. I slipped into the running water and smiled in agreement. Hot water felt better. I really needed a bath. After a few minutes of standing there, I reached for the shampoo that was sitting in the corner of the tub. Rubbing my head with the sweet-smelling substance, I thought about Naruto. When he returned from his mission, he would find me gone. Did Tsunade-sama even notice my absence? Was Shikamaru looking for me like he said? Tears welled up in my green eyes. I never got to convince Sasuke to come back. I never got to say goodbye to my parents before I went to the Hokage Tower. I never got to taste Ichiraku ramen that time. I promised myself I'd buy it another time. I cried even harder now. I was glad the water muffled my sobs. Eren wasn't there when I got out. Since I didn't have any clothes, I was forced to wear my red shirt, black shorts, and pale pink skirt. I did my best to clean them before wearing them. I slumped down on my bed. I had to ask someone where I could wash my clothes. My eyes were shaking. I was tired. Hanji had watched over me and Eren all night last night. I put my gloves on the dresser and slipped under the covers. My eyes closed as I fell asleep. I woke up to a sound. Hey, wake up. I sat up and yawned. Rubbing my eyes sleepily, I peeked into Eren's curious, bright green eyes. Good morning, I murmured, blinking. It's afternoon, the corporal is looking for you, he said, averting his eyes as I lifted the blanket. I stared at the ball of clothes he was holding. It was the same uniform he was wearing now. A short brown vest with long sleeves, a white collared shirt, white pants, and several complicated belts. What are these? I asked, staring at the knee-length brown boots lying on the edge of my bed. Levi wants you to wear it. He's waiting for us to meet him at the recruit training ground. I know where it is, so you don't have to worry about getting lost. He said softly as I took the clothes from him. So you're joining the Scout Corps too? I smiled at him. I had no choice. Erwin pulled me in. He stared at me for a moment before he gasped. Sorry. I'll wait outside. She turned around quickly, obviously embarrassed by the awkward atmosphere. It's okay. I can change in the bathroom, I said, stopping him. I grabbed my shoes and entered the room I'd come out of a few hours ago. I took off my clothes and tried on the pants first. Levi has a good sense of size, I muttered. They gave me the right size, including a shirt. Grasping the belt, I stared at it for a few minutes. This would take an hour to figure out. I tried to remember how it was attached to Ren. They wrapped around his legs and torso. I slung it over my shoulders. Well, at least I tried, I muttered bitterly. What's this stupid belt for? I opened the door and stepped out casually. The belt was too tight, making my movements a little awkward. I stopped for a moment when Ren appeared in front of me. That's not how you wear it, he said. He slapped his hand over his mouth, trying to hide his laughter. I don't know how to wear it. I whined. Here, let me help you. He shifted the binding and wrapped it around my legs, bending them on each side, then stretched it around my waist and over my shoulders. He turned toward me, arching his back. This way, he said, observing his handiwork. Thank you, I said, smiling broadly. I put on my vest and bent down to pull my shoes on. Eren was like the older brother I never had. I didn't feel uncomfortable around him. He had a brotherly air, and I was glad I'd been taken to that cell. I knew I wasn't supposed to be tied up, but one person I didn't think was wrong. Same, he replied with a small smile. We have to hurry, the corporal might get angry if we wait too long. Right, I said, grabbing my bag and stuffing it into a drawer before following him out. The training arena was incredibly spacious and simple. Unlike the training ground in Konoha, this one consisted of only 6 poles and a few stands spread out. Levi was standing at a table when we approached. What took you so long? Come on, Sakura. He paused for a moment to observe my new appearance. Good, you've showered. My eyebrow twitched. He continued. Today you'll learn how to balance yourself with 3D maneuvers, it's not difficult. First you hang on this, come here. I stared at 2 tool-like boxes with 3 swords on either side. These were just like Erwin's when I attacked him that night. I followed him to the pillars in front, and he motioned for me to stand between them. Eren, help me, Levi ordered. Eren pushed each side of the pole and tied the ends with some lengths of material. Levi looped a belt with adhesive material on each side, around my waist. It looked like a special rope. We'll pull you up, your goal is to maintain your balance by standing on top. Once you achieve that, you'll be ready to use the 3D maneuver gear. I nodded. Just like that, it sounded too easy. Okay, I'm ready. I spread my legs slightly to get into position. Walking up a tree without using my hands was easy, I could do it without any problem. Pull him up, Levi ordered. Eren pulled the lever wrapped around the rope that tied the pole. My body rose and I immediately felt myself swaying. I spread my legs wider and balanced my upper torso by extending my arms. I remained upright, though I swayed a bit. I grinned widely, my body in a stupid position, but it worked. Levi and Eren looked on in surprise. Hey, so Sasuke's clones have emotions after all. No way, you did it, on your first try. Eren shouted with a smile. Levi took a moment to recover. Looks like you've got the hang of it, put him down. Eren complied and I struggled to unbuckle the belt once my feet touched the ground. Keep this on, you'll need it. He untied the straps and quickly retracted them onto my belt. I followed him to the table. This is 3D maneuver gear, there are 2 handles attached to your belt. He pointed to my waist and I noticed 2 empty sword hilts attached to the belt. I took them and pressed the rifle-like handles. A slit opened in the middle. It's used to retrieve swords from gears. He took 2 boxes and bent down to hook them on each side of my thighs and lock them around the device on my back. I shivered at the touch. The gear wasn't too heavy, but it wasn't light either. Still, it was comfortable. Standing, he placed his hands on mine and made me grasp the empty hilts. I wished I'd worn gloves. Push, he said gently. I did, and he lowered my hand to one of the empty swords emerging from the gear. He pushed the open hilt inside, and I freed my fingers to it. There was a click, and I pulled the sword out. So this sword was hanging on the inside of the gear to prevent it from falling out. It was pretty cool. Good, now press the handle again. He pressed his finger on top of mine again, I could feel his shoulder pressing against me. I can do it. I stammered and took a step back. He remained still. Pressing the handle again, the sword fell. Your sword should have broken for some reason, you could have removed it from the handle and held a new sword from the gear. He commented while I stared at the handle in surprise. Next, the gas tank above the gear is very important. It keeps you afloat while using it. You should run. This is necessary so you need to replace it immediately or retreat if the supply runs out. He walked beside me and pressed the side of the belt. Wires slid out, causing me to jump in surprise. The wires slowly returned and Levi caught them. He showed me the ends. This is your target when you hover with the gear, you have to stick to something, a tree, a building, a titan, it's very sharp so try to stay away from your teammates, targets. He explained as he unhooked the wires. They retreated back into my belt. I nodded quickly. The gas that keeps you afloat comes out through your back. He pointed to a device behind me. He pressed a button on the side of the handle. The gas came out of the device with a whoosh. I felt myself lean forward slightly. Since the handle is connected to the gear by a wire, this is the only way to get the gas out of the tube and float. He held a small wire that was close to the box. Do you understand? Any questions? He asked. I shook my head. Good. Now we can see you try it. I swallowed and looked at the tree. He said to aim for the wire. I turned to Ren, who gave me an encouraging nod. Okay. I can do it. I pressed the button on my side and watched as the wire shot forward and pierced through the tree. I grabbed the handle and pressed. I wasn't prepared for the sudden speed. I screamed as my body literally flew towards the tree. I was going to be crushed. Before I could brace for impact, the wind in my face suddenly died down. I fell onto my butt, trying to get some distance from the damn tree. I pulled on the wire and shot forward before stopping dead in my tracks. Now I was dangling. Hey, you didn't do too bad. Oren shouted, cupping his hands around his mouth. Levi gave me a disgusted look, like he couldn't believe he was up against a newbie like me. I kicked my leg. Yeah, help me down. I yelled at Oren. There was no way I was letting that cold bastard touch me. After Oren helped me down using his gear, I struggled for a while. I was cute hanging like this, except when I landed. I was a little jealous of Oren, he used his gear as easily as breathing. I hated having to do things the normal way. I was so tempted to use my chakra. I smiled. Now I understood Naruto, how he was always jealous of Sasuke. He ended up coming to me for advice when he couldn't figure out how to walk on trees. I did the same, I asked Oren for advice, which he gladly gave me. I was determined to master the gear. Why don't you take a break with that gear on for now? I want to see your fighting talent Erwin has been boasting so much about. Levi exclaimed after an hour of training with the gear. Of course, I replied, unbuckling my belt to rearrange the gears on the table. Okay, I finally did something I excel at. I turned to Levi with a devilish grin. This is payback. I'm going to beat him to a pulp for the next week. If I accidentally use my chakra, oh well. for kicking me and stomping on my head, not to mention beating Eren mercilessly. He didn't have to. Alright, Eren, go ahead and fight Sakura, I'll watch from here, Levi said lazily. He leaned on the table. My jaw dropped. Wait, you taught me, I exclaimed loudly. He couldn't get away that easily. I agreed to teach you how gears work, not how to fight, he said bluntly. I pouted. Right, I don't mind Sakura, Eren said quietly behind me. I turned to him. He was smiling. I sighed. Okay, I thought so. I can fight Eren, but Sasuke's clone is next. We both took stances and circled each other. It was almost like a dance. I tried hard to contain my chakra. I would never forgive myself if I seriously injured him. He moved first, his leg lashing out, throwing me off balance. I blocked with my hand. I jumped and twisted my body to land a punch on my shoulder. He blocked it. I smiled inwardly. Eren didn't want to hurt me. I must say, he's a rash fighter. Like Naruto, always acting without thinking. I kicked upward, sending him staggering backward. Seeing an opportunity, I kicked his legs out from under him, and he fell on his butt. Why are you hesitating? I asked playfully. He averted his eyes. I didn't want to hurt you or anything. I mean, I felt like you might break, but you're better than I thought. Who taught you how to fight like that? He asked as I helped him up. A special teacher I had in my village, he taught me how to be strong. I said in awe. Eren looked deep in thought. Even if I don't hold back, I'll still lose. I'm not a clear thinker when I fight, he stated. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. I lack speed, but Eren does. He lacks fighting talent, and I don't. Don't worry, we can achieve anything if we work as a team, and you can always do better, I stated reassuringly. He narrowed his eyes at me thoughtfully. You know you look like Annie, he said in a low voice. Before I could ask who he was, Levi interrupted us. Good Sakura, it's getting late, why don't we go back and get something to eat? He got up and called for me to get my gear. Hold on, I shouted. He stopped. Fight me, I demanded. Dua turned to me with a blank stare. Now that I was looking at him, I could see his faint blue eyes. His hair was like mine, parted in the middle but a few centimeters to the left. He was a beautiful man. He clicked his tongue. No need, I have more important matters to attend to. He said frankly. Oh, I know, the corporal was too scared to fight me, seeing as I completely took down Eren. I smirked. His eyebrow twitched. That's not the point. He snorted in annoyance. You back away from a little girl like me, you're shaking in fear, a boring clean freak like you who belongs in the kitchen, cleaning the shelves and. I trailed off nervously. Levi was upset. His whole face was dark. He was angry. Alright, Eren, back off. I swallowed. Maybe I didn't want to fight him after all. I took a stance as he continued to approach me. I charged at him. Running at full speed, I swung my fist at his chest. He dodged. I felt a hand grab my shoulder. I gasped as he swung his leg at my face. He was fast, really fast. I ducked and did a hand seal. I swung my leg at his torso. He caught it and spun around. I had no choice but to pull myself up and try to headbutt him. I nearly caught his shoulder as he moved away. Shanaru, I screamed as I repeated my attempts to hit him. He dodged every move. How could he? He looked like he wasn't even trying. Fed up, I tackled him. We both fell. I sat on top of him and felt my arms being pulled up. He locked them together above my head. I gave him a glare. He stared calmly. It was an awkward position. I felt a kick as he pushed me away with his foot. He cleaned himself, muttering about how I'd messed up his back. This is it. This clean freak needs to be beaten. I grabbed his leg and with a little bit of my chakra, I launched him upwards and threw him. His eyes widened as his body flew towards the table. He landed softly, however, and stood on his feet with only his dirty backside as evidence of our fight. I ran at him again, my punches and kicks all dodged, but I had an idea with my arm. I kicked mud at him, He tried to move away from it, then lunged. I spun around, and threw an uppercut. He almost tried to stop it and tripped. Seeing the opportunity, I threw a punch to his gut. Yes, I would win. Or not. He quickly spun out of the way and threw a kick at my back. I crashed into the table. Defeated, I felt my arm being pulled up. Eren straightened me up. That was a tense fight. Are you okay? He asked. I winced as I felt a slight pain in my back where the Sasuke clone had kicked me. Why yeah, I mumbled. I was defeated. I thought I could beat him, but, even though he's a normal person, he's incredibly powerful. As much as I hate to admit it, he's better. I acted too hastily, and he took advantage of it. That's surprising. This is the first time someone else has gotten close to me in a fight. Erwin was right, you're strong for a little girl. Levi said while patting my head. Alright, you've fought me, now let's go so I can take a shower. We have an expedition tomorrow and time is running out. Expedition? Eren said. Levi turned to us. I can explain tomorrow. He turned to me and pointed to the gear on the table. Take that gear, it's yours from now on, take care of it. I sulked. Okay. I mumbled. I went to get it. Don't give me that look, otherwise you win, Levi said before turning around and heading towards the Survey Corps building. I blinked in confusion and turned to Eren. He shrugged. I can't wait for tomorrow, I want to hear more about the expedition, he said as we walked side by side. Yeah, me too, I whispered. I was still thinking about what Levi had said. Did I win? Obviously I didn't. Maybe my winning was his approval. I sighed. It had to be. Do you think we'll be included in this trip? Eren asked. I shrugged. Hopefully. We walked toward the building. Levi walked a few meters ahead of us. I may have won his approval. But he didn't win mine. I thought I hated sleeping underground. Not only was it hard to tell if it was morning, but Corporal Levi was the one who woke Eren and me. The clean freak ruined the mood and turned on the lights without warning. I was in a comfortable position, lying on my side with my face facing the damned light. I couldn't help but wrinkle my nose and grumble. Wake up, kid, it's time for your daily cleaning duties. I heard Eren groan. Geez, we deserved a break. After yesterday's fight, I went straight to where we ate and got my usual bread and soup before bed. I stepped aside, unlike Eren who kept tossing and turning in his sleep. This seemed reasonable, considering what happened yesterday at dinner. Eren was treated kindly by Levi and Hanji, and forced to bite his hand in an attempt to reform. This was selfish. Didn't they consider his feelings? Levi had the nerve to get angry, calling Eren useless before snorting away with his stupid cravat. I was seething with anger. Eren was hurt, and still being yelled at. Finally, Eren raised his arm towards a large pile of skinless hands while trying to grasp a spoon. The point of that, Eren needed to injure himself while having a clear goal in mind to reform. The crazy scout trooper, literally ready to kill him while I just sat there eating my soup, just because Levi defended him. I was even angrier. This jerk had the nerve to defend him after he yelled at Eren, while his hands dripped blood from trying to please his superior. I couldn't handle it, so I just got up and walked away. I guess being tired wasn't the only reason I went to bed early. You too, wake up. Levi's voice grew louder, as he most likely walked closer to my bed. I groaned. Sitting up, I rubbed the sleep from my eyes, then looked up at the person commanding me. He was wearing the same garment covering his mouth as yesterday, but it was under his chin now. I stretched. I was exhausted. What time is it? I asked. Now it's your time to help me clean the windows around the investigative unit building on Wall Rose, hurry. Levi clapped his hands. I lazily jumped out of bed and scratched my head. Since I didn't have any sleepwear, I'd been sleeping in my black shorts and a chest tie. Realizing this, my dizziness immediately stopped, and my cheeks burned. Get out. I need to change. I hissed at him. He blinked once, twice, then turned and calmly walked towards the door. Idiot. Ordering me around. he muttered before closing the door. I breathed heavily. I wasn't okay with Sasuke's clone coming in here as he pleased. Do you want me to go out too? Eren asked. I turned to him. It wasn't fair that he had to go out every morning just because he had the misfortune of sharing a room with a girl, and I liked him better than Clean Freak. It's okay, I can change in the bathroom. I replied quickly. I slipped into the restroom and quickly put on my uniform. Since I had already showered last night, I didn't need it for now. After washing my face and brushing my teeth, I grabbed my belt and opened the door. Eren was sitting at the far end of his bed, fastening his. Hey, help me with this. I asked sullenly. He smiled warmly. Sure. He walked past me and took the belt and wrapped it around my torso. This was ridiculous. I couldn't have Eren dressing me every morning like I was a baby. I had to try to learn how they fit. After he finished, I thanked him and we walked out. Levi was standing sideways against the wall. Finally, come here, there's a lot of work to do. He stated bluntly. Eren and I followed out. Now all I really noticed was Eren and Levi as they walked side by side. I noticed Levi was a few inches shorter than Eren. The clean Mad was short but a scary guy. I walked behind them as the two talked. It was nostalgic. It was like my Genin days when I was always one step behind Naruto and Sasuke. Always staring at their backs. I liked the similarities between the people in this world and the people in mine. I was stronger now. I promised them they would be the ones staring at my back. I closed my eyes trying to clear my mind. I felt a pang in my stomach as I thought about my friends. It would be best if I didn't think too hard about it until I found my way home. I stopped abruptly as we passed through the actual city. It was beautiful. The houses had a very unique style. I was amazed at the vibrant way it looked. People were walking around and staring at my hair. I sighed. Being the center of attention would be harder than just being ordinary. We approached a giant entrance gate which was opened for us by several men in the same uniform. I was taken aback by the sight this city had to offer. Everything was destroyed. I stopped to look around. It was like a massive tornado had hit. Many houses were destroyed and had a brownish substance scattered across their roofs. Large pieces of stone were laid across the overgrown streets. Many people were walking around, clearing away debris and fallen pieces of wood. I ran my hand over a particular large piece of stone. It was a piece of wall. I immediately darted my eyes across the wall. The wall was fine, there were no visible holes, so how? What happened here? I asked aloud, interrupting their conversation. Levi turned to me. Right. You weren't here when Wall Rose fell. After Wall Maria fell, a different kind of titan appeared inside the wall. A titan with armor. It almost crashed into the outer gate and made a big mess. Levi sighed and ran his hand through his dark hair. This titan created a hole in the wall. This boy can transform into a titan and plug the hole with a large rock. There are no titans left here. Now all that's left is to clean up this mess. I walked silently, leading the way to the opening Levi had made to move sideways, so we could be side by side. So inside this wall was another wall. Smart. From what I'd heard, there were only 3 walls. Wall Cena, the inner wall, Wall Rose, the middle wall, and Wall Maria, the outermost wall that was apparently infested with titans. Only 2 walls were spared. Still, when I found the wall, it looked fine. Then again, it was dark and I could only see part of the wall. When we reached our destination, I was delighted to see the people I'd met yesterday. They must have been Levi's teammates. Eldo was standing on top of the building that had once been called the Scout Corps. Jez, look at this place, it's dirty, he said. Levi clicked his tongue. Meanwhile, there's a lot of work to do. Levi told Petra and me to sweep the inside of the building while the others worked outside. I couldn't believe how serious Levi could be about cleaning. A small smile tugged at my lips. He was almost the perfect husband. I jumped in surprise. No way. He was a brazen bastard. Here. I turned to Levi, who was holding out a folded piece of clothing for me. I took it carefully and stared at it as if it were a mutated frog. Levi snorted. You wrap this around your neck, he said, as if teaching a 5-year-old how to use a fork. I scowled at him. I know what this is for, I replied, trying to hide my small grumble. I slung it over my shoulder and started sweeping. Oren was lost in the view outside the window. He exclaimed that he hadn't seen Wall Rose because it had collapsed. My mind lingered on his comment from yesterday, about how I didn't know how the Titans ate people. Petra's broom collided with mine. Sorry, he muttered. Honey beads collided with the bright green grass. Your hair is absolutely beautiful, she said on the spot. Her eyes scanned my hair. Thank you, I said, smiling. And yes, it's natural. I added before she could ask. She gasped. It's cool, a very unique color, it reminds me of cotton candy. She giggled. I ran my hand through my hair. It was something Eno always said. I think your hair is beautiful too, Petra, I commented. Her hair was like her eyes, a deep honey brown with a hint of orange. She blushed and continued brushing. Not as beautiful as yours, even your name is beautiful. Sakura means cherry blossom, right? I nodded. There's a cherry blossom tree in a certain part of town where I live. After our mission, we can go there and pick some cherry blossoms. They'll look beautiful in your hair, he said excitedly. My heart clenched. Forcing a smile, I responded curtly. Of course. You two won't be going to see the tree anytime soon unless you've finished cleaning. Levi's voice was like snake venom to my ears. All he ever cared about was cleanliness, I thought cruelly. Yes, sir, Petra said as she increased her speed in her task. Okay. Come here, Oren. The two men left the building to work outside. Tell me, Petra, you really admire Levi, right? I said to the honey-eyed girl casually. She blinked. Of course, Corporal is our valued captain, his orders are absolute. He responded proudly. But it's more than that for you. I started to investigate his feelings for the Sasuke clone. I was curious. Not because I disagreed or anything, but because he was like me when I was younger, when I was a pink-haired, weak, and gullible little girl falling for the cruelest little traitorous bastard, but Levi wasn't like that, really. I didn't know the man well enough to judge him. Petra's cheeks flushed. What do you mean? She stammered. I smiled mischievously. Do you have any special feelings for Corporal? I asked casually. He shook his head but then stopped. Maybe. I think I really am. Whaa. Sakura, don't tell anyone. He suddenly went crazy, realizing his confession. I laughed. I won't tell the spirits. Don't worry. How long have you liked him? I asked. He shook the broom between his hands nervously. Well, since I joined the squad. I mean, I only joined because he pushed me, and I was planning on asking him soon, if he wanted to live with me, I mean, you know, happily. I stared at her. Petra was completely serious about Levi. She wanted to marry him, considering she wanted them to live together. Did she even notice that he was too strict? While his looks were good, his personality was terrible. He was unapproachable, cruel, harsh, blunt, and spoke only when he felt like he needed to say something. That was all I had observed about him so far. When do you plan to say it? He took a breath. Soon. Maybe next week, but soon. I'm just afraid of rejection. I'm not sure if he loves me back. I gave him a supportive smile. I'm nervous too. I wish you luck, but there's always the chance that maybe he loves you too. My smile cracked. I remembered my rejection. That night I begged Sasuke to stay with me, to return my love. When he refused, I cried and begged him to take me with me. Even when I was weak, nothing but the lovesickness of my genin days, I wanted nothing more than to be with him. Then he hit me and put me on a park bench before he left forever. I remember that emptiness, that hollow feeling when I woke up. It's the worst pain anyone can feel, and I hope to God Petra doesn't have to go through it. I'll pierce Levi if this happens. He's too sweet and innocent. Petra beamed at me. Thank you so much, Sakura. I needed it. I gave him a curt nod. You're welcome, whatever you said, you should tell him today, after the expedition. She gasped. No way. That was too fast. She screamed. No, I can help you. I said. Really? How? He gave me all his attention. Trust me, I know a lot of things. I grinned darkly. Or the last things Eno taught me about how to seduce a man. Petra bit her lower lip. Okay, but you can't get me out. Wouldn't dream of it. I responded brightly. We continued sweeping. After a few hours of sweeping, wiping windows, and scrubbing floors, Hanji saved us from our misery. She laughed loudly and patted my shoulder. Sakura, where's Aren? He asked, looking around. I shrugged. I can look for it if you want. He nodded and opened the still wet window. Hey Levi, what's Sakura doing next? He shouted, sticking his head out. I tensed up, brushing the walls. Levi's bored tone passed over us. Hanji smiled. Yeah, you have free time. Find Aren for me, we have to leave in a few minutes. I was expressionless. Levi's answer didn't sound like I meant I was free, but I wasn't going to argue. I dashed out of the building. We're going. What's this mission going to be like? I forgot to ask Petra when I mentioned it during our conversation. I walked around the corner of the building and caught sight of the scout troopers working with Levi to clean up the place. Eldo was even using his 3 German marks gear to dangle from the wall to properly scrub the windows. Very creative. I hurried off to the stables and saw a piece of brown bread sticking out of the corner. Aren. I made my way to the stables and nearly bumped into him as he came out the entrance. Sakura, you're also in charge of the horses? He asked in disbelief. I shook my head. The stench of horse manure hung over the place. No, Hanji's looking for you, we're going. I said. He looked at me. Okay, I guess, you're going too. I shrugged and was about to respond when a rush of footsteps caught our attention. Aren gasped and ran towards the group of people in scout troop uniforms lining the perimeter of the building. I followed. Mikasa. Armin. Aren yelled, making me remember 2 people instantly. A black-haired girl and a short blonde boy. They both stopped, surprised to see Aren, since he was coming out of court, I guess. Aren. What happened? Did they hurt you? Or worse, did they torture you to do horrible experiments? Mikasa overreacted to him, holding his hand as if he might disappear if she let go. No, it's not like that, Aren stuttered. Mikasa grumbled, her face twisted in anger and hatred. I shivered in fear. That shorty took it too far. One day I'll see him pay for it. He spat. I blinked. He was talking about Levi, so, we're on the same side. Aren sighed. It's okay. Really, he has to. They take good care of us. Aren moved towards me. Mikasa looked at me with a frown. You're the woman from the court. Armin whispered. His big blue eyes lingered on my face for too long, making it a little uncomfortable. Then his sky blue eyes roamed over my hair in amazement. He blushed slightly. No way. You're joining the investigative unit too. Aren shouted at the remaining people. Yeah, Armin and Mikasa are so much fun, so we can't lose to them. A short, bald man chided. That's right. Sasha wants to get closer to her friends too. A tall girl with brown hair and a ponytail resembling Hanji said cheerfully. I see, so only Jean, Annie, and Marco didn't join. Aren stopped. Marco's dead. A voice made us all turn. A tall, blonde man towered over us. His gaze was emotionless. Aren shook his head in disbelief. Jean, no. Marco. But, how did he die? He turned to the others, but they remained silent. The blonde-headed man was the only one who broke the silence. Nobody knows, only half of his body was found, probably eaten by a titan, then spat out, nobody saw anything, he disappeared, I don't think anyone gets such a dramatic death. Everyone remained silent. I took a deep breath. Aren's eyes were still wide and shaking. Marco is dead, he repeated softly, unable to comprehend the news. This person was Aren's friend. Okay, hurry up and get ready, we're leaving soon. A man shouted at the crowd. The girl, Sasha, shouted at the little blonde girl who was probably shorter than me. And the crowd chatted again. So guys, you guys are going on this mission too? Aren said cautiously. Of course, we're part of the Scout Corps now, we can't go back. A tall, yellowish blonde man replied. A shorter, dark-haired man agreed. Aren, we swore to protect you on this mission, Mikasa said. That's right, so you better not mess with this little jerk. That guy, Jean began, but his eyes roamed over my hair. Oh good, it finally came to this, I thought. Pretty quickly, everyone was staring at me. I suddenly felt embarrassed. Guys, this is Sakura Haruno, she has natural hair, and she'll be our new partner in the investigative corps. Aren spoke the truth. My jaw nearly dropped to the floor, he read my mind. Nice to meet you, I'm Jean, the man shook my hand with a light blush coloring his cheeks. I'm Armin Arlert, and this is Mikasa Ackerman. Armin said while pointing at Mikasa. I'm Sasha Brous, that's Krista, and that's Ymir, Sasha said, pointing to the small blonde girl beside her and the taller, darker woman beside her. The woman smiled. I'd pay to see you in the pool with Krista. She licked her lips in a lecherous manner. I shivered slightly in disgust. The blonde girl scowled. You perverted old witch, she commented. I'm Connie, this is Reiner, and this is his best friend, Berthold, said the short, bald man, pointing to the taller blonde, Reiner, and the dark brown-haired, Berthold. They shook my hand briefly before withdrawing it. Nice to meet you all. I gave them my brightest smile. Some of them gasped. Oh my god. Armin and Reiner muttered. My smile twitched. These guys had gone far. Still, I grinned. It wasn't every day they saw someone with cotton wool hair. I couldn't blame them. I'm sure you have a lot of questions for Sakura, but now we have to hurry and get ready for our mission to explore outside the walls. Hanji suddenly appeared behind us. I think this is the first time for most of you to go outside the walls. Don't get too excited, the wildlife is dangerous, if we're not careful anyone could die, there are lots of titans crawling around, now let's go. I'll see you later. Mikasa and Armin shouted before they left. I frowned as they retreated. No one seemed to notice the lack of information. I couldn't help but have a bad feeling that something was coming. I looked up at the clear sky, it was beautiful, maybe I was just scared. Let's make this mission a success. I said smiling. Aren smiled. Yes, this will be a successful mission.